Yo, what is up guys, and welcome back to Comic Review 47. So 2 videos ago I worked on Who is the Eraser for my new WTF series, and wow, you guys are awesome. I got so many new subscribers and a lot of views on that video, which obviously means I'll keep going with the series. So today we're reviewing the Penny Plunderer. His crimes obviously revolve around pennies, which is pretty weird even for a WTF character. Anyways, this guy first appeared in World's Finest Comics number 30 back in 1947. In this issue, we see a giant penny similar to the one in Batman's Batcave, but we'll get into that in a bit. So right away in the description, it says that rich and poor people use pennies, meaning that it doesn't matter if you steal pennies or not. So this dude is pretty much going to end up with the same amount of money, which is almost useless. It also says that he thought of pennies all the time, and that it was a sort of symbol to him. So let's find out why this happened to him in the first place. Well, first of all, we found out that his name was Joe Coyne, and he sold newspapers as a kid. Later as an adult, he lost his job as a result of gambling with pennies. Because of this, he went to a life of crime, although he was caught the first time he tried to rob, since he accidentally stole a register with only pennies in it. This is why he resorted to being a criminal associated with pennies. It was pennies that made him poor as a kid, it was pennies that made him lose his job, and it was also pennies that brought him to jail. Because of this, he turned to crime with pennies as a symbol, becoming the Penny Plunderer. Fair warning, you're gonna hear the word penny a lot in this video. Anyways, this time as a criminal, he thought things through. He uses a penny slot arcade as a disguise so that it would look like he had a legitimate business. Although I still don't get why he resorted to crime if he already had an actual business now, but whatever. For his first crime, he fills a penny roll with a tear gas bomb and robs a penny bank. Batman and Robin notice this problem, and they figure that his next target is going to be at a local coin exhibition. Meanwhile, Joe Coyne was at the coin museum that I mentioned, and he cleared the area by throwing hundreds of pennies at people. Ridiculous as it sounds, it was surprisingly effective. Batman and Robin intervene and throw a giant Lincoln penny from the museum at the gang. Although Batman leaps toward Joe Coyne, he throws a penny roll at Batman and knocks him out cold. They interrogate criminals that they were able to capture, and he tells them where the secret hideout is. As a result of squealing to Batman and Robin, he is killed and has a penny in his mouth, which represents the Penny Plunderer silencing anyone who opposes them. As this is the golden age in comics, this kind of violence was actually allowed back then. As they're investigating this dead criminal, the Penny Plunderer and his gang come in from the dark and start to attack the dynamic duo. The duo knock out 3 thugs, but Joe Coyne throws pennies at Robin and makes him literally slip into unconsciousness. He only has to deal with Batman now, and yet again, Batman is knocked out by a penny roll. Jeez, Batman, do you even know how to fight? Once the two are unconscious, they find that they are tied without their utility belts in a room full of toxic gases. Joe tosses 2 pennies, symbolizing that that's all they'll be worth once they're dead. Batman and Robin are able to break free of the ropes and use science to figure their way out. They actually use a zinc from one of the pennies and wrap it with telephone wire in order to get a signal for help. Using Morse code, they're able to contact the police to help them out. The police break down the door and the duo escape the death trap. They search Joe's desk and find out that there's a newspaper article about a slot machine boat party, so obviously Batman knows that Coyne is going to be there. Meanwhile, on the boat, Joe Coyne has rigged the slot machine so that there's smoke all over the place. As soon as they see Robin on some skis, some of the goons are knocked out while Joe Coyne is the only one who hasn't been down yet. He then tries to make his escape, but they're on his tail. Joe then proceeds to throw some barrels, Donkey Kong style, then locks himself in a phone room. All he needs to do now is call one of his workers to come and get him. The only problem is that the payphone only accepts nickels, and he does have 5 cents, but only in pennies. The irony of it all is that he's thwarted by his own gimmick for pennies. Going back to what I said about the giant penny earlier, this is the reason why Batman has it in the Batcave, sort of a reminder of the time that he fought Joe Coyne, aka the Penny Plunderer. Later in Batman Chronicles number 19, his origin story was retold. During his childhood, people would bully him and call him names. One, for example, is when his drunk dad used to call him Salt Change and kept asking him for another beer. He mentions that in his first robbery, he picked the wrong place to steal because the last deposit they made was a couple hours ago, so he just ended up with a couple rolls of change. He tried again to make a robbery attempt, but was knocked unconscious by having pennies thrown onto his head. He was in Blackgate prison for 10 years with his hatred for cops and pennies. Joe later became more successful once he was out of Blackgate prison and started doing big heists. Although he was consistently successful in his crimes, he later attempted a heist at the coin and stamp exposition in Gotham City. At this point in time, he was called the Penny Plunderer by the press. What they did to break in this exposition was make a hollow giant penny and use it as a Trojan horse. He stole millions of dollars worth of money and rare coins as well. His plan almost worked if Batman wouldn't have thwarted it. Batman picks up some pennies that were on the floor and throws them at Joe Coyne to mess up his aim. Then, all of a sudden, a chain reaction happens and he was presumably flattened, although he wasn't. After this, his origin was written off and changed in Two-Face Year 1, and this origin was pretty much the same, except that they don't use the giant penny as a Trojan horse, and Two-Face is actually the one to take over Joe Coyne's plan. Those are actually pretty much all of his major appearances. The only other appearance I was able to find was in DC Rebirth Holiday Special, and only on one panel where he is holding a bucket full of pennies. What do you guys think of Joe Coyne? Would you like to see him in the future? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section, and be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.